Volume of a sphere. Now, a sphere is probably the hardest object for me to draw personally as a three-dimensional object. So what I like to do is start with a circle, and then to try to give it that illusion that it's coming out towards you like a three-dimensional object would. So that kind of arc. And then to show that it also goes out around the back, I give it a little dotted line like that. So hopefully that gives it a little bit more of a three-dimensional shape. Now, formula for volume of a sphere. Volume is 4/3 pi r cubed. Be very, very careful. This is the first formula that we're using, but our radius is not being squared, it's actually being cubed. Let's try to use this to find the volume of a sphere in our first example. Try to draw that sphere. Your drawing doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, this is a sketch. The sketch is merely given to us to give us the known information. And what I'm going to give you for this is a radius of 4 inches. The radius is 4 inches for this sphere. We're going to start by writing down the formula. Volume equals pi r, 4/3 pi r cubed. And that's why it's important that you write it down, because you don't want to leave out an important piece of information. Volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Let's substitute in what we know. 4/3. I know that pi is 3.14. And in this situation, our radius is going to be 4. And we need to cube that 4. I'm going to start over here and do a little bit of simplification. 4/3 times pi, 4 cubed. Remember, 4 cubed is 4 times 4, 16, times 4 again, 64. Notice that I brought down everything else that was in the equation, even though I haven't done anything with it yet. Next, I'm going to simplify further. Volume 4/3 times 3.14 times 64. And that's 204.1. Now I have 204.1 times 4/3. Now remember that this is a whole number, so it's like having a 1 underneath. We're going to multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. 4 times 204.1 is 816.4, and 3 times 1 is 3. And when I divide that, I get 272.13. Now this is volume. It needs a label. Our units that we used in our example were inches, so these are going to be cubic inches. We're going to use the formula for a sphere, for volume of a sphere, in order to find the radius. So I'm going to start by sketching a sphere. Trying to give it that three-dimensional appearance. Now this sphere, the radius is going to be unknown, but I am going to tell you that the volume is 288 pi inches cubed. Now you can leave your volume in terms of pi. It just means that that last step hasn't been done where 288 is being multiplied by 3.14. And that's okay. We're going to leave it this way because we can use it in our formula. First things first, we have to write volume is 4/3 pi r cubed, being very cautious that we're using cubed and not squared. And now we're going to fill in what we know. I know my volume this time is 288 pi. 288 times pi, it just has not been multiplied, hasn't been simplified. 4/3 pi r cubed. Remember, I don't know my radius, so I'm going to leave this as r cubed. If you need to put in your little multiplication symbols so you don't forget, or even putting them in parentheses, that's fine as well. Multiplication. Remember, we only have one variable here. Your one variable is r. Pi is just a symbol for 3.14. I could put the decimal in there, but I'm going to leave it out for right now. R is being cubed, multiplied by pi, and multiplied by 4/3. The opposite of dividing by 3 is multiplying by 3. So I'm going to do that first in order to undo this fraction. I'm going to multiply both sides by 3. So that I eliminate this piece. 3 times 288 is 864. And that's being multiplied by pi still. I haven't done that step. I've only simplified this part. I'm going to bring down everything I have over here to clean it up a little bit. 4 times pi times r cubed. R is being cubed, multiplied by pi, and multiplied by 4. I'm going to undo one of these. And I'm going to undo the multiplying by pi. Because I know that when I divide both sides by pi, it's going to eliminate itself from this equation. I'm left with 864 is 4 times r cubed. R is being cubed and multiplied by 4. The opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. 864 divided by 4 is, I'm going to move right over here because I'm running out of room down below. 216 is r cubed. The opposite of cubing a number is taking the cube root. So r is, remember the cube root of 16, 216. What number times itself will give you 216? 6 times 6 is 36, times 6 again is 216. So the cube root of 216 is 6. We want to give this a label, and it looks like our units were inches. So 6 inches is our radius. I just want to show you that you would get the same answer if you were to multiply pi out in your equation. If I were to use b equals 4/3 pi r cubed. If I were to take my 288 pi and actually multiply this out, 288 times 3.14, I would get 904.32. Just going to work it out this way to show you that we get the same thing. Now remember, multiplying 3.14 times 4/3, you have to multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator. 4 times pi is 12.56. 3 times 1. Bring down the rest of the equation. 12.56 divided by 3 is 4.18. And it's actually 4.1866666 repeated. So you can see that by putting pi into the equation makes it a little bit messier because we have a lot of repeating decimals. So the fact that we're not rounding is going to make our answer a little bit different. That's why it's easier to just leave pi in the equation until the end. R is being cubed and multiplied by 4.18, so I'm going to divide by 4.18. 904.32 divided by 4.18 is 5024 is R cubed. What number times itself will give me 5024? Any ideas?